Welcome to the table. Come on over and take a seat. We're just about to begin. I'm Midgarin, and tonight I'm joined today by two wonderful and affordable role players. First with us today is our ever-present Aech. How are we doing tonight, Aech?
I'm great.
Wonderful. And back...
No, I said great.
Fucking hell. This is going to be a fun night, I can already tell.
Yep.
And back with us from a long-term hiatus, longtime fans of the podcast remember her as Master Klaus Breithill. We have returning knight Cici. Cici,
Hey.
very good to have you back.
Glad to be back.
How's it been?
Been good. Life happens and, things have been going on, but good things, so it's all right.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
And when I say long-term fans, I really just mean H. So that's our only fan.
I have no excuses. Watch the podcast.
Like, comment, and subscribe, guys.
I was actually just watching the one posted today earlier, so.
Aw.
I was going to, but then I ended up watching a TV show with the
Well,
roommates and
I
playing
actually
video games.
watched it, so I'm a fan.
Yeah, see, she beat me to it. You're welcome.
Cici, that's why I love you. Anyway.
Yep.
All right, so now the topic for tonight is girls in gaming.
Portals.
Yep. With a quick Google search, you can find articles after articles of controversy about girls in the gaming community. My own wife grew up in a house that didn't allow girls to play computer games or otherwise. It's such a touchy subject, but I feel it's one that we should at least talk about. Cici, how did you get into gaming? Tabletop or, just video games? What was your introduction?
I kind of love talking about my intro to gaming. Tabletop wasn't till I was in college, but my grandfather actually got me started into video gaming on MS-DOS when I was a kid. So yeah, it's been really early. He had me start playing, he taught me how to play Mahjong on the computer. I played Prince of Persia. I played a whole bunch of games I don't even remember the name of when I was a kid. Just a black screen and a bunch of stuff. I actually got really upset when Prince of Persia PS2 games came out, because every time I told somebody I played the original Prince of Persia, they'd be like, "What do you mean, on the PlayStation 2?" I was like, "No, MS-DOS. I played that since forever," and it really kind of pisses me off. But yeah, I played so early. Oregon Trail and all of that stuff. So that's how I got started.
From Oregon, and I've never played Oregon Trail. How sad is that?
Definitely should. They got a new one just recently came out. It's like a more modern version where they adapted, the Indians aren't stereotypical and stuff.
But do you still die of dysentery?
I think you do. I haven't played it yet, but I think you do.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess I will talk about myself. I got into nerddom when I was in high school. I had some friends who would go down to a city park every Saturday and beat the crap out of each other with foam swords. So I did that for 8 years, and I met a lot of gamers there. So I got into D&D. I'd have game every Saturday night and Sunday night, and I got into WoW for a little bit, but basically I started with a LARP and then backpedaled a little bit into tabletop and board games and all that jazz.
Cool.
Yeah, it was good times. I miss beating the crap out of people with foam swords.
It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It really is.
So being in, especially as long as you guys have actually been in the community, what is your proudest gamer moment? What is the moment that you're like, I am so glad that I have this hobby because of such and such?
My proudest moment, it was in one of my campaigns with my group, and the DM pulled me aside one day and he was like, "Hey, I need you to become a doppelganger." So basically he wanted to He kidnapped my character at some point and replaced her with a doppelganger. And so I had 2 character sheets at that point, and he had me write out the doppelganger one with all the new stats, because I was the only one in the group that he could trust not to give away that I wasn't actually my character. Because we had a couple, and he knew that if he had either one of them do it, the other one would know with another dude who metagamed, and then the other person was kind of newer to the game. So like it was kind of nice that he like trusted me to do it. And it took the party a solid 3 or 4 months out of like every week we'd game, like 3 or 4 months of that before it finally came out that I wasn't actually playing my character. Like I would have to adjust her ever so slightly to where like she wasn't quite so reckless, and no one noticed it until finally like the big bad came out and I had to turn on them. Like it was
pretty
so
awesome.
great. It was wonderful. I love doing that shit. Just like surprise, motherfuckers. So yeah, that was my best moment. I think they all were like, wait, what? Yeah, it was good. Yeah. They were like, when did you become a were-rat? Be like,
That's pretty cool. I do like that a lot.
it was fun. It was good times.
You tell me if this counts for you. When I think of like my proudest moment in gaming, I think of when I was a kid. My dad took us to like a thrift store or whatever, and way back when video games were still behind a glass shelf, like way back, like people don't understand that anymore. They were behind a locked case when we were kids and stuff. And my dad took me and asked me to pick out a game that I wanted to play, and I picked out, just not even knowing anything, I picked up Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past. And so when I was a kid, I was only with my dad for like every other weekend and during summer times. And so whenever I was over at his place, I would play that game. Like that was what I played. And just looking back, and I had no idea what the significance was of that game at the time. And I just kind of loved that I instinctively picked out this great game.
I have never played a Zelda game.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Cici, it is my favorite series, so I'm glad that you shared that with me. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I need to, but I'm just now getting into video games finally. Like I took a long time of like I did a lot of writing RP, so I spent a lot of time writing.
Yeah, I get you. Like I've done it like I mentioned how I started up so young. Like the first game I completed totally was Aladdin on NES. Like,
I almost mentioned that as my proudest moment, getting out of the Cave of Wonders. When you're like writing the magic, I almost made that my proudest moment.
I still remember. I know by heart the password to get right past that, because I was not doing that again.
Oh my god, it was so hard. I was like 8 and I was like, how do you do this?
Yeah, spoiler alert, it's Genie, Jafar, Aladdin, and Abu.
What?
I memorized that because I did not want to go back to that. Yeah. Man. The first game that I finished with my brother was TMNT Through Time.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I was really into Super Mario Kart on SNES, and then trying every day to beat that one spot in Aladdin. Such a great time.
So you obviously guys enjoy gaming and enjoy all aspects of the gaming community, but what do you enjoy most about gaming itself?
The escape. It's meeting new worlds. It's experiencing something you can't in your own life. You know, life is about experience, and I feel like I want it. You know, there's so much other things to experience that isn't in front of me, and it's exciting. It's so much excitement. I don't know. That's probably the biggest thing for me.
I like creating things. So like I like writing. I really like fleshing out my characters for tabletops. Like I'll start with like the backstory and then kind of build from there. So I just like creating stories and worlds and all that fun stuff.
That sounds really good. I mean, so, you know, I kind of like the fact that I feel like a lot of people think that, like, you know, gamer girls or girls in gaming is kind of like a monolith, you know, and I'm glad that, you know, people, you know, can definitely see that you guys have different favorites of this community, that you guys enjoy different things. Because everybody
I also like killing things. So,
yeah. Well, that's what everybody likes.
In my chainmail bikini.
Yeah. Well, actually, so that actually brings us right to my next question. So thank you for that softball there. Is, of course, women being hypersexualized in gaming. You know, not just like the characters in a video game, but like in tabletop RPGs. Do you feel like women are more sexualized than they are in real life?
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah.
Just the aesthetic, I think, of it is sexualized. I know, like, when I play females, like, they are typically covered in armor head to toe, unless it's my sorcerer, but she's a completely different story.
You always bring up Mal every podcast.
Yeah, well, she's my current character. Like, she's the only one in the game I play right now. So, but like a lot of my characters, I play like a lot of clerics and paladins. So there's not much to see here, folks. Like,
well, so...
just fucking plate mail.
Yeah, I started out playing rogues and tabletop, so I wasn't really thinking about the shape of the body or anything. I want lockpicks.
I was just like, how stealthy can I be? Like, my whole thing was like not being seen.
Right, you don't want to be noticed.
Exactly.
Well, so two things. Cici, your two characters, you were playing a halfling druid, little tiny person, and then you were playing Klaus Breithill, which was definitely a man. Whereas Aech, your last character was Artie. And I really want to talk about Artie for a minute, especially in the context of this segment. Because we had some issues with Artie. Not you and I, not DM and player.
No,
like,
I know. But
it was like after the games, you know, you and I usually had like our post-game chat, and we were just like, yeah, just because she has tits, she has to be treated differently. It was
every week.
It got so annoying, and especially it's like you were playing the solo. You were like in Cyberpunk.
Was the tank.
You were playing the tank. And everybody felt like they had either A, had to protect you, or B, you were supposed to be the arm candy. And I was like, what the fuck are you people doing?
This is the life of a girl in gaming.
It's in real life on occasion.
Yeah.
And in real life, yeah.
So
no.
I guess, like, because like the conversation is always going to go here. Like when we talk about girls in gaming, is the treatment of, you know, the treatment versus guy gamers and girl gamers. So let's have our thoughts on that one. I, as a male, am very annoyed at the culture. Because it's unwanted, it's unneeded, and I don't really see the point of the whole thing. But what do you guys think?
So,
I agree.
Yeah, it definitely is, but it's not. One thing I do want to point out is it's not like exclusively in the gaming industry. The sexualization of women is essentially just a characteristic of being a woman, especially like you see models and makeup and all this, and everything is toned to make a female look the best that they can and exclude any blemishes or
flaws.
Flaws, exactly. And so I think it really just carries over. It almost just makes sense for it to carry over into another fantasy like environment, and like it makes sense to an extent. But you also, I mean, you can't talk about the super sexualization of women without talking about the male gaze and what that all means and how these things are established. I mean, not exclusively, but for the most part, for the entertainment of men versus the entertainment of women. Mm-hmm. The idea is that since there's more male gamers, or at least when gaming began, it was very almost exclusively male. The male gaze, essentially, it makes, you put some boobs out there and people automatically want to buy it because, sex sells. And that's pretty common in marketing in general. I mean, yes, it definitely exists in gaming, but it's not exclusive to gaming. It's kind of just like, if you're a woman, you kind of deal with that almost anywhere you go.
Right.
Yeah. Well, whether it's like, I deal with it at work right now, like the people who are getting promotions at my work are generally white men. So we've got a lot of females on my shift right now, though. So we're like, fuck yeah.
Going back real quick to gaming, it brings up a story, or not really a story, but it brings up something that happened recently. H and I play a game called Destiny, and we were playing, and then all of a sudden she got a piece of armor, And she's like, oh yeah, my new leg piece looks really cool. And like, I was like, oh, send me a screenshot. And like, so she sent me a screenshot. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then she like showed me, and then it was a front picture. And then she showed me a picture of the back. And like, I was like, she's like, yeah, look at that ass. It's like, I don't feel like body armor needs to hug your ass that well.
Well, I mean, in fairness, the armor are like just the bits on like the front of the thigh. Like the rest of it's just like leather leggings.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
So
yeah, like my character's ass looks great right now.
It is pretty much a trope that like the least amount of clothing that a female has, the better the armor it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's just a common trope at this point because yes, that happens a lot in games where that's just how it goes. It's supposed to look more attractive, and apparently that makes it better.
Hashtag skin for the win.
You're right.
Oh man. And I know that at least in video games, I know a lot of guys will play female characters just because they like I literally had a guy tell me one time back when I played WoW, he was like, yeah, I make female characters just so that I can watch them run.
It's not uncommon, and that's the whole idea of the male gaze is it's literally created for a man to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like I think it was like a skit or something. There was something where I watched, and there was all these females like on an MMORPG or something.
Yeah.
And then this guy was like, as a female, like trying to hit on all these girls, and they were all dudes like playing.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing. He was like trying to hit on all these guys, and they're like, no, dude. Like, it was hilarious. Also, have you guys ever heard of the Hawkeye Initiative?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's the greatest thing. So like,
I do.
Yeah.
So this is great. So this is it's actually really fantastic. Essentially, somebody took like the idea is that you have the like the Avengers characters, for example, all the superheroes, and essentially they will take Hawkeye being the first one I think that they started to do, and essentially put him in every pose that the females were being drawn in to see if it still made sense. And so now there's a whole bunch of fan art online where they just draw like Iron Man and Thor and all these with their butts sticking out and all this, and it's
just like
so
and
funny.
you're like, your anatomy doesn't work like that, my dude. And the females are like, yeah, we fucking know. Oh, it's so wonderful. It's like my favorite thing. It's the greatest stab at like toxic masculinity comic artists.
Femininity, whatever.
So what do you guys find more annoying? Do you guys find the bigots, the mansplainers, worse or more annoying, or do you guys find the more annoying people to be the white knights?
Oh my god. Is there a C option? Both?
No, it's one or the other, but we'll talk about both.
Okay, I'm gonna say that the mansplainers are more annoying because at the end of the day, I can use the white knight as a meat shield.
Okay.
Yes, agreed. The white knights are at least useful because they're like, oh, let me help you, princess. And I'm like, all right, sure. Am I getting XP out of this? Okay.
Yeah. Whereas the mansplainers just don't think we're smart enough and have to explain everything.
Yeah, they tell you everything, and they're like, actually, this is how you want to do it. I'm like, bitch, I'm like 5 levels higher than you. Shut up.
Actually, I've been playing this game for almost 2 decades. Fuck off.
Yeah. Well, let me help you, but you don't know. You obviously new to this game. I need to show you.
Like, no, I've played multiple editions of this game. I got this. Yeah, but the white knights, they'll just be like, oh, let me protect you. I'm like, all right, cool. You take those bullets. I'll kill the enemies.
Yeah.
Like, I got this.
So which one do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the mansplainers or the white knights?
Mansplainers.
Okay, then go ahead. The floor is yours, gang. I have no stories for this one.
I feel like that's a lie.
I have one story for this one.
Go ahead, do tell.
Yeah,
do
it.
Fine.
Enlighten us, DM.
So
mansplain us.
Well, actually.
What mansplaining actually is. Actually, I didn't know. I wasn't really like sure what mansplaining was for like the longest time. I honestly, like, I'm dumb.
Some people hate that phrase. Some people hate that phrase exists too.
Well, it exists, so let's go on.
Mostly men.
But I was I was in a group. I was in a group a few years back. It was pre-COVID. You know, we could all get together and hang out. And
I forget what that's like.
I just got into like a weird argument with my fiance at the time. Like, it wasn't a fight, it was just an argument, and I really didn't understand where the argument came from. So like, it was like right after game, and I looked over at the girl. Like, it was a friend of mine, artist, totally awesome person. But I looked at her. I was like, "Can I ask you a question? Do you know what mansplaining is?" She goes, and like the entire room just went dead silent, just dead silent. And because I don't know what I'm doing, this stupid shit. And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Because I need you to woman explain something to me because I don't know where I went wrong." I was like, "Look, my fiance, she's mad at me because I ate spaghetti, and she told me that she said that she was going to eat it or take it for lunch the next day. But we never had that conversation. Apparently, she had it in a dream, and I'm still being punished for that." And she just looks at me, and she's just like, "You're not wrong, but you need to feed that woman right now." But like, that's the only, like, I guess the only thing I have, like, is like, that's the only thing I've had, like, with mansplaining, like, particularly is just that's how I, like, really got into, or like not got into it, but like really started to understand the negativity of mansplaining, because at that point I really didn't know what the fuck it was.
So in your scenario, I would have to say, although I'm sure that's probably the closest thing you've come, that's more of looking for a female's perspective.
Yeah.
Oh no, I completely understand that, but that's I don't really have like
right. No,
huge
I
mansplaining
acknowledge
thing.
that.
Did she say that you had mansplained to her?
No, I don't like.
He was just looking for a comparative.
I was just looking. Yeah, I was just looking for a comparative source because like I said, I didn't know what mansplaining was at the time. I heard the phrase and like I used it. Like that's the only like mansplaining thing I have.
Okay, gotcha.
Because there are instances where mansplaining being like, I can't think of the exact person, but I've heard a reference online or something where this woman was essentially in a conversation about some science topic or whatever, and this guy is like, let me tell you about this and explain to you how this works. And she's like, I know how it works. And he goes, no, but you probably, okay. So he's like referencing this book and saying, yeah, you should read this book. And she's like, I wrote that book.
Like, she's like, got 2 doctorates, and he's like trying to mansplain it to her. She's like, bro, that's my book you're referencing. Yeah. And you're wrong.
Yeah, that's mansplaining.
No, I got that now.
I'm just making the reference for other people for that too.
So, but do you guys have any instances where like you were mansplained at and you were able to like counter that argument, or how do you guys usually handle being mansplained to?
So I don't like confrontation.
True.
So like it happens a lot, and I just it takes a lot to really like actually push my buttons and make me get snappy. So like I'll get like kind of snappy, but then I'm just like whatever. Like it's not worth my time and effort when I know that they're just being an asshole, and I just kind of move on with my life. It's happened in plenty of games, though I will not name any names.
To be honest, I can't think of a specific instance. I feel like it's happened a couple of small times, not like extensively, but I've either been able to narrow it down to just that person being stupid, or just like I can't think of a particular scenario that's happened, but I feel like there's probably a couple of instances it has occurred. I just kind of blew it off and don't really remember them.
Yeah, because you move on with your life. You're like, this is so common nowadays, especially in gaming.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
It sounds like that's kind of the healthy thing to do, is to blow it off, but at the same time, what are some of the steps that we should take to not have that actually be a thing?
Well,
raise men to be not assholes.
Well, I think the difference, it's sexist thing in nature, but it's not. I don't think it's done on purpose, which is kind of worse, because
it's definitely unconscious.
If they were talking to another male, for another masculine looking person, I don't think the same instance would occur. And that's the issue that I come across, is it's like, oh, you don't think of this because you're a girl. And that's where the difference lies. It's not like you're a gamer, so you have, experience in playing. It's no, you're a female, and thus, obviously, you don't have much experience in this, so I will help you.
Yeah.
I do know that there have definitely been instances where, like, I've been in groups, and I've actually have left groups because of like the way that people sometimes talk about women, and it's just a culture that I just don't want to be a part of.
Honestly, that's the way to be. That's the how people can be better, is just not take it. Yeah. And if it is around you, like, saying something is fine. Like you're gonna basically pull in the ally talk, where it's like, calling it out even when you're not the one that's being affected is the best course of action, because if you're just hearing it from women, you're just gonna think, oh, okay, well, it's just women. That's just a girl being a girl. But if somebody else says it, and this is for every instance of any discrimination or anything, if it's just that group of people, you're gonna think it's just that group of people. But if somebody else speaks out, then you're like, oh, maybe I am just being a shithole. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't.
Right.
Who's the one who said the only thing it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing?
Men to do nothing.
So as a man,
I can't remember who says it.
yeah, I don't know. I'll have to
You're
look
a
it
man?
up. Last time I checked, last time I went to the bathroom.
I thought you were a lich.
A lich could be a man. Like,
It's a skeleton.
don't gender shame me.
I'm gonna flesh shame you.
Right? God. But as a man, what are some of the things that you wish you could tell me to make so I would be better? What are some of the steps that I should take, or some of the things that I should do to make the community just a little bit better? What do you think that, some of the changes that should occur on a personal level?
I mean, like what we were just saying, like if you see something, say something. Like it's a huge thing for us at work, but like it works outside too. But like see something, say something. Like that's literally all it takes, is speaking up, especially for people who maybe aren't comfortable speaking up for themselves.
Yes, that's the major thing there, because and like I said, this calls for anybody experiencing discrimination of any sort. It's just like, just because somebody doesn't say that they're upset about something doesn't mean that they're not upset or uncomfortable. It could be, just like we said in the earlier instance about mansplaining, it's like it may just happen so often that we just take it as normal and just try to ignore it. That happens quite a bit in certain scenarios. So if somebody else thinks it's not okay, like it's probably not okay.
Yeah. I've had that conversation with a couple women before, and it's like, and they always give me the same response. It's like, oh, it is what it is, this happens all the time. It's like, but that doesn't make it okay.
It doesn't, but everyone else seems to accept it, and that one person doesn't want to be the one to rock the boat, because if they're just that one person, then that just means they will be excluded versus everyone else.
If they're the little rock and they dislodge the avalanche, they're gonna get just utterly destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
and unless you have that support system to help, then they're going to be the one displaced and not everyone else.
So I guess the next part is that the other side of the coin, like when men take it too far and become the white knights and defend the woman, even the ones that don't need defending. I sometimes feel like that's worse. It's still bad. It's still a version of this discrimination. It's still a toxic culture. But I mean, a little bit like what you guys were talking about earlier, it sounds like there's some advantages to that one.
So the difference that I see with the white knight is the white knight doesn't think that the person can defend themselves. And while that has correlation with what I was talking about being dislodged, on their own,
they don't even give them a shot.
It's kind of like, at least ask.
Yeah.
Like, hey, would you like me to say something? Hey, or they could say they could even say their own term and be like, I don't know if this action is okay. is that okay? And kind of turn it on the person to speak for themselves.
Give us a chance.
Yeah. It's kind of a middle ground, and I get that. I totally acknowledge, white knights are at least trying to help, and it's appreciated in a sense, but don't take it overboard and at least let the person...
We'd rather you fight at our sides rather than in front of us. That makes sense. Like
that's that's it.
Like if we can fight like back to back, like badasses, that'd be awesome.
That'd be great.
Like, the final boss scene and like there's hordes of people around us, like all the fucking neckbeards. It'll be great. And then just the two of us like back to back, that'd be awesome.
We want you to be a part of the party, not the opponent.
Yeah.
There we go.
We don't want you to be the doppelganger who eventually turns on the party. A callback. Callback.
There you go.
Now, one of the groups that when I used to go into, it was actually started by a girl, and so she was just getting a bunch of people together to play the games, and it's actually how I met a few of my really good friends over here on the Eastern Shore. And like there was one guy, and like he didn't actually join our gaming group, but because this is the reason why he kept using the word "milady."
God.
Like, yeah, every message he was like, oh, I can't wait to play with you, milady. I can't wait to see you, milady. It's like, I was like, dude, you need to calm the fuck down.
A visceral reaction to that. Like people say, I just imagine like a fedora. Like it doesn't even, I'm just like, ugh.
I feel like that's the actual definition of a white knight.
I just laughed. Like when you said fedora, I laughed so hard I almost fell out of my chair. Like I laughed and I like leaned back and I almost died. So
you're welcome. It's because I'm a killer when it comes to comedy.
Oh dear God.
You're welcome. This is why you keep me on this show.
We'll go with that. That's what we'll go with. The listeners can hear the defeat in my voice.
Yes, that's right. The women have the power here.
Oh, 100%. I've never actually seen a man with power, honestly.
I mean, yeah, I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm married. I don't have any power. It's just...
That's true. Married and you have kids.
Oh, I have no power.
Kid and a half.
Divided your power up.
I think it was Gabriel Iglesias. He was talking about DC characters, and it's like, what is Green Lantern? It's like, he has a ring, and the ring gives him powers. Like, that's a fantasy. I've never met a guy with a ring with power before. It's like so true, so fucking true.
Oh man, my favorite Green Lantern is actually a female.
No.
Jessica Cruz. She's fucking amazing. She can do anything as long as she can defeat herself. You're not
a fan of Guy Gardner? Couldn't even say that with a straight fucking face.
Yeah, right? No, man, Jessica Cruz all the way.
Such a bad character. Guy Gardner, not Jessica Cruz.
Yeah.
Now, I guess one of the advantages of being on this podcast is that no one knows exactly who we are. We're not using our faces or anything of that nature. So, what is something that you wish you could say but have never said before? Like, what is something that you wish you could say in your gaming group or in your thing that you was like, God, I wish I could speak out, but you've never actually done it before? Either A, you were too worried about it, or B, it's like it. At that point, you're like, I don't even give a shit. It doesn't matter anymore.
My gaming group listens to this podcast, so...
You've been in other gaming groups, though.
Oh, okay.
You didn't have to say it was this one.
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be with this one. Just... It doesn't have to be this gaming group. It could be just another gaming group. Because you've had, told me, horror stories of other groups that you've been in. So...
I will let Cici take this one first while I think of other horror stories.
Actually, I'm pretty much the person that likes to just tell it how it is, and the people that I've gamed with have pretty much been my friends, so I don't feel like I couldn't speak out with my friends or whatever.
That's really good.
And if I do, I'm not around them, so there's that. But I kind of feel like I had the advantage when I started tabletop gaming was that it was pretty much the first time for all of us. And so we were all young and stupid. And so we all didn't know what we're doing. And so we kind of figured it out together. But as far as I've had more instances of that kind of thing with video gaming than I have with tabletops, to be honest.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah. And I think mainly because the video gaming side is just so much more developed, or it's so much more mainstream
And more toxic.
Now,
It is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I used to play Call of Duty on Xbox Live, like,
Oh,
a lot.
Well, so here's my
So-
question with that one then. Do you feel like the toxic, and the more stems from the fact that online gaming is anonymous, whereas tabletop RPGs is primarily in person? Where Sunday nights is that, or where the Tuesday game is concerned, we haven't really like sat down. We don't do face to face. We do it through Discord, and we do it through Roll20. So my question is, do you feel that being anonymous makes it worse?
For sure.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's not just gaming. Like, we have that issue with social media and all that stuff. Like, because the internet can be a bit toxic because of that anonymity factor. But the fact that you don't experience seeing these people during the day, like you don't see them on a daily or even know where they are.
There's a lack of consequence.
Yes.
There's no consequences for just being a dick to some randomer on the internet that you don't know.
Right. But yeah, it does have consequence when you're meeting up with the same people every week or so, when you are trying to be a group together, you're trying to accomplish a goal together. I mean, that's kind of why, even if they're anonymous, why online guilds still tend to be, as far as I've experienced, like less toxic, because you guys still have a common goal you have to meet with each other.
Yeah.
And you at least want to like them so that they'll like you. I mean, so that's at least the limitation there as far as tabletop gaming, where you don't want to piss someone off too bad just so that they don't kill you in the game.
Especially if you like your character.
Yeah.
If I'm playing a healer and like someone is being a dick, they don't get heals. That's just how it is.
I mean, that's the law.
Yeah, that's the
and
law.
That's why, and that is a great point, because that would deter somebody from being a dick.
It should.
It should.
It does. It doesn't. I think kind of like how Chief has learned to hex first. You know, it's a learning process. They're a dick. They don't get healed. Next time, they're like, okay, I'm gonna be nice. Hey, look, I get healed.
Sorry, Chief. We love you.
I only say it because I know he listens.
Chief's growth, like when he started the Sunday nights, that was his first game, and like now, like months later, he's turned into an entirely different role player, and I'm so proud of our little boys all grown up.
Growing up, grew up so fast.
Yep. So we have used up most of our time. Most of it just trying to say the word that word. That shit.
Anonymity.
Anyway, so at the end of each of these things, we always do final thoughts. So who has some final thoughts for us tonight?
Don't be a dick.
Oh God, yes, Will Wheaton, be still my heart.
Even if you have a dick, don't be a dick.
Yeah, preach. Again, for the people in the back, Cici. Yeah, just don't be a dick. And if you ever have question, if you ever think maybe something doesn't feel right, ask. Don't just jump in and assume, because assuming makes an ass out of you.
And me?
No, don't. Yeah, exactly. Just you. I get my mom with that every time. She's like, and me. And I'm like, yeah, I said you. She's like, damn it. But yeah, just don't assume that, don't assume anything, honestly. Just ask if you ever feel like something's not right. Don't just automatically step up and take over. That may not be what they want. They may be trying to lure someone into a trap so that they can use them as a meat shield. You know? You never know.
You never know. And that's actually a really good point to end this podcast on. Thank you guys so much. H, always
thank
a pleasure.
You girls so much.
Yeah.
Thank you gals.
There we go.
Thank you all so much for listening. If you did like our topics, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Please share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, just share it. Thank you very much, H. It's always a pleasure to have you out tonight.
It's your frenemies.
Yes, you're frenemies. And of course, Cici, it's great to have you back, and I can't wait to the next segment that you're on.
Yay!
Ooh, yeah. Maybe we won't team up on you next time.
That'd be cool.
That's unlikely. Good night, everybody, and minstrels, play us out.